talking about Ukrainian orphans, the war, of course, God's sovereignty on the throne, all that with Father Jason Charron, Holy Trinity Catholic Ukrainian Church in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. Jason, just as we were leaving our last segment, you talked about going back into Ukraine, going into Ukraine for the first time. And of course, we've seen the images, the videos, the photographs of the thousands and thousands, of 2 million people, refugees on the move, the largest movement of refugees since World War II. But as you're going in, there's a young woman also going in.
Right.
And you spoke to her.
Yes.
Tell us the story.
Well, I want all your listeners, John and Kathy, to know about Lisa. Because people have been, Russian propaganda has been telling people this is, war to protect Russian speakers, and that the Ukrainians are oppressing Russian speakers. Lisa's narrative contradicts all of that. She's an ethnic Russian speaking, and she's from Kiev, and the building near her was blown out, some sort of, I don't know what kind of explosive. And she took her 18-month-old baby, her only child, and made a dash to the border all the way from Kiev. And
how far is that?
Well, by car, it's in ideal conditions, it's to the border would be 5 hours, but
less than ideal during wartime.
Yeah, so outside of
long time.
Yeah, so it's a while. So she got there, and the father of the child. He's Polish, and he was waiting at the border for them, and they had a reunion, and then she told me it struck her that she couldn't leave her country, and this mother handed her 18-month-old child into the arms of her husband, and she kissed them both, and she turned around and walked back into Ukraine, and that's when I met her. And she was a mess, but she said, look what they did to my city, look what they did to my neighborhood, to my neighbors, and they want me to leave. I'm not leaving, and so she's back. She went back to fight.
And so you had the wherewithal, Jason, which I really appreciate, to pull your phone out and to talk to her for a second on the video, which I'm telling you, I've watched 100 times. I love it so much. We posted it on our Facebook page, The Ride Home with John and Kathy on Facebook. And let's play the audio right now.
This is Lisa here from Kiev. Lisa, why are you coming back to Ukraine? Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Lisa and I'm 24. I have a little son and I just gave him to his father in Poland, and now I'm coming back to Ukraine, and I want to go to Lviv and just doing something because they crashed the house near my house at night, and I live in Kiev. The
house burned right near you?
Yes. I born in Kiev.
Yes. And
it's my home. It's my home. I can do all here. Ukrainians need me. I think so.
Ukraine needs you, and the world needs your witness. Thank you, Lisa.
Like I said, I've watched this video with the sound and with the sound off as well, because her body language says so much. I mean, clearly she's broken, and her eyes and the sorrow in her. I would really encourage you to go find this on our Facebook page, just for you can see the intimacy of one person standing up to the Russian onslaught. I mean, it's so beautiful and at the same time so heartbreaking, Jason.
It really was, and I wanted to help her, but
what can you do?
What could I do? And I thought. I have to I don't like recording people. it seems invasive to me, but I thought.
I'm so glad you did.
Everyone has to see this story. And so I asked her if she'd mind me recording her, and she said, you can do it. And so I did it.
Talk about the provision of God for you when you were away, how you saw the hand of God, talking to Lisa, talking to the orphans that you met, just the amazing path, the torturous path you took from when you left Pittsburgh and coming back again.
When you're in grade 3, you're reading these books that have, I don't know what they're called, but they have variable endings. So you read.
Choose your own.
Choose your own, And that's what it was. Like, we didn't know how we'd get once the car rental agency wouldn't let us rent.
Here's the
car.
fork in the road.
Yeah. So, well, what do you do? It's like, God, you're sovereign. You're in charge. And if you want these kids to get out, then you're in charge. You're going to have to provide an option. And so that door opened, and we ended up getting a taxi, and there were a number of cases like that of just things opening up. And in the midst of it, there's mental uncertainty, but there's the counter to it is this peace in the heart. So I can't understand if something like people, when I met there, I went to Ukraine, and some of the women we were getting out with their children, they wanted to know plans, hours, places, and I just said, I don't know that, but I know God will provide, and if you trust in Him, and He did every time. So there's, amidst the intellectual uncertainty, there's the corresponding peace that comes with being in the arms of your Father, and that never left us. But the concern, the intellectual, cognitive concern about how are all these pieces going to fall into place, that was there.
Very real.
Sure.
That was there.
But then there's the power of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. The calm assurance that all will be well. So it was. It was really beautiful. And what another beautiful thing about Ukraine right now is that these people have found their calling and their dignity. We often don't find our our maturity until we are invested with great responsibility. Yeah. And this is Ukraine's hour in history to show the world how great David is, against Goliath. And men there have had a long history under the Soviet period of alcoholism. It's a curse of the nation. And it was so beautiful to see men at the checkpoints. We were at military checkpoints. We had our phones confiscated at one point, and they put guns into your car, and they want to know what you're doing. And it's rattling, but at the same time, it's beautiful to see that these men, all of a sudden, they're taking upon themselves the responsibility for their country, for their land, for their road, for their families. And they disavow alcohol. There's no alcohol allowed at these checkpoints. And all of a sudden, these guys are standing proud. Their shoulders are broad, and they've found their vocation as husbands, as men. So that was beautiful. And the other thing is, it's a land of bribery. When I lived there 20 years ago, bribery was rampant. People were offended by us offering them money. You give there are other people who gave us rides. The orphans we needed small rides from where the bus dropped us off to get up to the checkpoint. It was like a 3-kilometer drive, and so these little mini buses, piled the kids in, and
let's go.
Let's go. And gas is very expensive there. It's wartime. It's being rationed. And I tried to give him some money, and he was deeply offended. That wouldn't have happened 20 years ago. So it took the pressure and the evil of war to bring out of these men and women
their best
virtue.
selves.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? Jason, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
it's an amazing journey.
Eager
really
to hear
is.
your story, and glad you could share it with us.
Yeah.
Well, it's all because of one guy, Alan Sherwood, living up to a promise to a little girl. And so,
good job, Alan.
To your listeners, if you make a promise to a little girl, make sure to keep it.
Fabulous. Thank you, Jason. Father Jason Charron, Holy Trinity Ukrainian Catholic Church in Carnegie. We'll step away for just another minute. This is Pittsburgh's Christian Talk, The Ride Home on 101.5 Word FM. That's WORD.